Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Houston, Texas at the Houston Astrodome for another championship event on the USHRA Association National Event Trail. This one is the USHRA Association Championship Mud Bog Racing and Thrill Show Spectacular. I'm Brett Kepner, and along with Shelley Herman, we'll be presenting one of the wildest shows in the USHRA Association Trail so far this year. And Shelley, we've got a lot of different activities here this evening.
Lots of thrills tonight. There's going to be both men and women who are going to be dazzling us with their craziness.
Indeed. As a matter of fact, we have one of the top motorcycle jumpers in the business here tonight trying for an indoor record.
Ernie Adams, he's going to not only try for an indoor record, but he's going to be jumping 20 cars. First time he's tried it indoors.
But, of course, we have two different categories of U.S. Hot Rod Association's incredible mud racing championship action, the super modified category and the tractor tire division. And we'll be back with the start of championship racing here at the Houston Astrodome in just a moment. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Houston Astrodome, and we are ready to start competition here at the U.S. Hot Rod Association Mud Bog Racing and Thrill Show Spectacular. Thrill shows, demolition derbies, and the first run of mud bog racing in the super modified category with the winningest mud bog racer in U.S. Hot Rod Association history, Clay Langley, and the Nitro Express from Miskey Cams on the line. A brand new supercharger in his first national event on top of his 331 cubic inch Chevrolet. As he makes the first pass through this 90-foot-long mud pit, Clay sits her down at the end of the pit, not muddy at all. And like I said, this is the first time ever with a supercharger, Shelley.
Well, we'll see if that really makes a difference, because in his past performances, he really has proven himself. But I know everybody's always trying to make him bigger and better and faster and stronger.
Well, on the slow-motion replay, you can see Clay Langley's machine having a little bit of problem off the starting line, but once it hit the middle of the pit, down around the 50-foot marker, he got up on top of the mud. A rough ride, but still power going to all four wheels, and that's what Clay was hoping for. Well, the second man up here in the super modified category is a driver we've seen before on U.S. Hot Rod Association's televised coverage of super modified mud racing events. This is Larry Jarrett from Poke Ferry, Oklahoma, who is one of the toughest in the south central and southwestern part of the country with this almost sprint car chassis machine. Underneath that cowling, however, is a supercharged, fuel-injected, methanol-burning 468 cubic inch Chevy big block that makes this thing one of the strongest in the business, Shelley.
Well, being that he's 48 years old, he's only been at...
That's why that man is so tough. Unbelievable run here in the early going of the super modified category, and Larry Jarrett's supercharged alcohol-burning sprint car blasts through this 90-foot pit with one of the best runs you could hope to see. Here on the slow-motion replay, look at this thing, Shelley, just skimming the mud. In fact, the left front wheel never really on the ground for most of the run. The elapsed time, 2.23 seconds. An excellent run here on this 90-foot pit, and that will take the #1 spot easily. Here is the first supercharged entry of the super modified category. A hometown racer, Shelley, from Troop, Texas. This is Kenny Slider.
It's hard to say whether it's hometown or not. This is such a big state.
That's true. He may be a Texas racer, but he could have traveled 400 miles to get here. The Painful Pleasure, 1980 Jeep CJ7. An aluminum body on a home-built frame with a supercharged, fuel-injected, methanol-burning 427 Chevy, developing over 1,300 horsepower, the first of the blown big blocks in U.S. Hot Rod Association competition at this event. You know, we were talking earlier about one of the most popular racers on the U.S. Hot Rod Association trail, Mike Erderly and the Mud Shark 1964 Corvette. He is here at the Houston Astrodome for the Mud Bog Racing Spectacular and has drawn again the dead last starting spot. So we'll see the Mud Shark later on. And the transmission goes away big time, no power to the front wheels at all, and Kenny Slider just sent that supercharged Chevrolet up to about 12,000 RPM. Boy, I'll tell you, that's a sound you don't hear very often. You can see the U.S. Hot Rod Association event director, Jim Harris, walking up to the side of the course, asking what happened, and Larry's smiling. He must know what happened. On the slow-motion replay, you can see a great start, but boy, the machine only had power for about 30 feet. Then it just died immediately. You can see the smoke coming out of the motor as it hits astronomical RPM numbers. But that was the shortest run probably of Kenny Slider's life, Shelley.
And I hope that's the shortest. I hope he does better next time.
This is very easily done. All you have to do is...
Well, on the starting line, a pretty incredible little piece of equipment called attitude adjustment. This is Darren Matthews from Mass Point, Mississippi, with a very, very short wheelbase piece of equipment. A 1979 Toyota with a 390 cubic inch Ford wedge motor. It's incredibly light for a full-body truck, only 2,500 pounds, Shelley. We pointed out on previous shows that the U.S. Harvard Association this year is mandating a kill switch on every vehicle. Well, the attitude adjustment machine makes it across the finish line, but certainly had to work to get there. You can see that that is a solid 36 inches of mud down there at the finish line. As soon as Matthews got out of the throttle, that truck sank down below the hubs. On the slow motion replay, you can see that it looked like Darren Matthews never really got the power he needed off the starting line. Machine just kind of plowing through the pit. Although it did dart around a little bit, he managed to keep it on a pretty straight course, even though, as you can see at this point, at about the 60-foot marker, it was just about completely sideways. The elapsed time, however, much slower than he would have hoped for. Not enough for Darren Matthews to threaten the leaders here at the Houston Astrodome. From New Orleans, Louisiana, the Mudbuster, Steve Sewell.
That sure is a fine-looking car, too. I noticed that the tires on it, though, it looks like the ones in the front might be smaller. Yeah, as a matter of fact, a lot of the drivers are switching over to smaller front tires because of the fact that these cars are so fast nowadays that the front tires spend very little time in the mud. So they're applying most of the power to the rear wheels. In fact, the front differential is smaller. It doesn't handle as much power. The front wheels are pretty much nowadays just going along for the ride. Well, I hope it helps because he's flipped this car before. And this is only the fourth time he's raced.
An excellent run. There's no question about that. The 22-year-old from New Orleans, Louisiana, in the unique Ford Thunderbird. Blasts across the finish line with a run that should surely be in the 2-second zone, Shelley. And that'll be enough.